Well, I long for misty memories of my youth in Dundren town, and of strolling through the clover in the early morning dew. And I dreamed of dear old Dundren and her hills of golden brown. But I am just a Jewish boy from Flatbushy Avenue. No, I'd never been to Dundren, didn't know if it was real, but I dreamed of it on days when I had nothing else to do. But I learned to faking and passing, shooting and pitching, bunting steel. I never was content to be from Flatbush Avenue. So when I went off to school where no one knew me from before, I was glad to have the chance to clear my slate and start anew. So I changed my way of talking, and I changed the things I wore, hoping no one would suspect I was from Flatbush Avenue. Well, I sang a song of Dundren that put tears in people's eyes, and through me they learned to love the place and long to be there too. I began to half forget the truth and half believe me lies, and I'd wondered if I really was from Flatbush Avenue. Well, there is a place called Dundren, and 'twas there they heard me song. And though they did not remember me, they thought me words were true. They invited me to Dundren, said, "Come back where you belong." But the passport people learned I was from Flatbush Avenue. Well, when I arrived in Ireland, I was greeted by a crowd, and the sky above was smiling in a lovely shade of blue. When I saw the signs for Dundren, I felt warm and safe and proud. Then I suddenly recalled I was from Flatbush Avenue. Well, the folks from Dundren greeted me and claimed me as their own. When they asked me where my house was, I did not know what to do. I decided then and there that I should let the truth be known, and I told them that I really was from Flatbush Avenue. And I told them that the world was just a dot upon the sky, and it really does depend a lot upon your point of view. And the song I sang of Dundren was not meant to be a lie, but my praises could as well apply to Flatbush Avenue. So if ever I am captured by a creature from afar, and they ask me of my homeland in a candid interview, I will tell them of a planet on a distant yellow star, and a street upon that planet known as Flatbush Avenue. Well, St. Patrick's Day is coming up, and a lot of people mistakenly believe that it celebrates the birth of St. Patrick, but it actually commemorates his death. And there's some controversy when his birthday actually was, and supporting that misconception that St. Patrick's Day is a celebration of his birth is a ballad written nearly 180 years ago by Samuel Lover that's actually entitled The Birth of St. Patrick. "'Twas the 8th day of March, some people say, that St. Patrick at midnight he first saw the day, while others declared 'twas the 9th he was born. And 'twas all a mistake between midnight and morn, for mistakes will occur in a hurry and shock, and some blamed the baby and some blamed the clock. Till with all their cross questions, sure no one could know if the child was too fast or the clock was too slow. Well, the first faction fight in old Ireland, they say, was all on account of St. Patrick's birthday. Some fought for the 8th, for the 9th more would die, and who didn't see right, sure they'd blacken his eye. At last both factions so positive grew that each kept a birthday. So Pat then had 2. Till Father Mulcahy, who showed them their sins, said, "No one could have 2 birthdays, but twins. Boys, don't always be fighting for 8 or for 9. Don't always be dividing, but sometimes combine. Combine 8 with 9, and let 17 be Marth's. So let that be his birthday." "Amen," says the clerk. "And if he wasn't a twin, sure, our history would show that he's worth at least any 2 saints that we know." Then they all got blind, stinking drunk, which completed their bliss. And we keep up that practice from that day to this. Well, it's not just Irishmen who fancy their Guinness beer. Oh, as is evidence in this little story about an Englishman and a Scotsman and an Irishman go into a pub. They each order a pint of Guinness. It's delivered to them with a nice frothy head on it. And wouldn't you know it, a fly lands in each one of the heads of beer. Englishman looks at it and goes, "That's disgusting." The Scotsman just plucks the offending fly out, flicks it away, like nothing happened. Irishman picks out the fly too and goes, "Spit it out, you little bugger!" Well, and it's not just people who fancy Guinness beer. Well, oh, the Guinness was spilled on the barroom floor and the pub was closed for the night. And out of his hole creeped a wee brown mouse, and he sat in the pale moonlight. He licked up all the brew from the barroom floor, and then back on the haunches he sat, and all day long you could hear him roar. "Bring on the goddamn cat!" Well, the cat creeped out from behind the bar and gobbled up the wee brown mouse. And the moral of the story is, don't you ever be thinking that you could get away from having Guinness on the house. You've heard the story of the Princess and the Frog. Well, there's a revisionist take here by Michael Peter Smith and myself. One day a beautiful princess was walking on the bog. On her slab of peat, who should she meet but Fred the talking frog. "Top of the morning to you, lass, what a welcome sight you be. I'd be glad, you know, if you stop a mo and listen close to me. You see, I've been bewitched, and I'm needing a royal miss, such as your lovely self, to give this ugly mug a kiss. Such a metamorphosis will then ensue, I tell you true, for I'm really a former prince, and I'll straightway marry you. To me rightful, Johnny go down, higgledy-piggledy, down and around to me high-low, harum scarum, riding a white horse to Cranberry Town, to me toady, sometimes I get bloaty, whining and dining on bog juice and bugs. For to dance by the sea with a princess and me on a cheery Sunday morning." Well, I've heard that song and that dance before, and you tell it very fine. But if it's a kiss you're after, well, you'll have to stand in line. For there's frogs outside me father's castle, frogs inside the royal hall, frogs is climbing through the window, frogs is bouncing off the wall, frogs is floating on the moat and up the stairs and on the shelf. If I had to kiss every one of you, Lordy, I'd have no time for myself. But laddie, let's make it swift, for lightly falls the hour, and I'm due at home for my evening shift of pining in the tower. To me rightful, Johnny go darum, higgledy-piggledy, down and around to me high-low, harum and scarum. Let's take a carriage to Cranberry Town, to me toady, don't need a floaty when lily pads are just a hop skip away, for to dance by the sea with a frog prince and me on a cheery Sunday morning. Well, she's just about to kiss him when Mrs. Frog comes hopping by, saying, "Fred, you're late for supper." "Coming, dear," was his reply. "You mean he's not bewitched?" "Just odd," says Mrs. Frog, "and into kissing princesses he meets upon the bog." And though I love me Fred, I fear he chafes at family ties. I'd invite you home for supper, me dear, but we only have 2 flies. Thank God you didn't kiss him. Today's your lucky day. Till I kiss Fred, I was a princess too. That's how I got this way. To me rightful, Johnny go darum, higgledy-piggledy, down and around to me high-low, harum and scarum, dancing a jig down to Cranberry Town to me toady. Don't call him grody when he's fishing for kisses from princesses' lips, for to dance on a bog with an impostor frog on an Irish misty morning. For to dance by the sea with a faux prince and me on a bleary Sunday morning. For to dance by the sea with 2 princes and me on a cheery Sunday morning.